Badlands, explain those Badlands. That's a hell of a name.
All right, good morning, Badlandia. Welcome to Badlands Daily.
It really feels like the cat with the laser pointer. It's like you've led the cat up to the top of the building, and now you're leading it over the edge.
President Trump is rebalancing trade around the world and making things more fair for the American people.
I think that anytime the deep state can like overcapitalize in whatever situation they have, they're going to.
But the rest of it is a very well organized and well funded color revolution operation of the type they run all over the world again and again and again to destabilize entire society.
All right, good morning, Badlandia, and welcome to Badlands Daily. Another week, beginning second day of March, technically. First show of March, joined by Zak Paine. How you doing, brother?
I'm good, Brian. How are you?
I'm good. Trying to work through the fog of war right now, and
aren't we all? It's funny because on Friday night, John asked the panel on OnlyLands, do you guys think we're really going to go to war with Iran? And I just blew it off. I was like, no. I was like, it's just like every other time where we were on the brink of war with Iran. We're not going to go to war with Iran. And as humans tend to be, they are right up until the moment that they aren't. And about 3 hours later, President Trump goes live and tells everybody that, guess what? In fact, we are going to war with Iran. So I, too, am working through the fog of war, Brian.
Yeah, I woke up Saturday morning to do my show. I started seeing the tweets coming out at like 2 a.m. on Saturday morning, Friday night. I don't even remember why I was up. I don't even remember. I think, I don't know. There were some friends that had come over because, my wife went to a concert while I was doing the Why We Vote. And some of the folks came back to the house, like when they dropped her off, they came back and we were hanging out and talking and I don't know what happened, but I ended up staying up really late and I'm looking at my phone and I'm like, oh shit, I gotta go to bed. I gotta go to sleep. I gotta unpack this with a fresh mind, and we're still unpacking all of it, but we'll do our best today. Tomorrow we'll have Ghost on to, maybe the dust will settle a little more and we'll get into it. But I got news for you. If you don't want to hear about all that stuff, this might not be your show, because this is pretty much what's dominated the news cycle for the last 48 hours.
Yeah.
So, let's get into it. We'll see what we can unpack. Before we do that, let's talk about our sponsor. It's officially a new era for gold and silver. Gold's broken 5,000 an ounce, and it's shooting up right now. And silver has surged past $100. In 2025 alone, gold jumped 64%. While silver skyrocketed 150%. And with political and economic uncertainty ahead, although it's a little more certain today, 2026 could bring even bigger moves. After such a historic run, a pullback is normal. Metals move fast, so some consolidation is expected. But top analysts are calling for even higher prices. We've seen the first bank failure of 2026 with regulators shutting down Metropolitan Capital Bank and Trust in Chicago. Could more follow? It's no surprise Americans are pulling money from banks and turning to the proven protection of gold and silver. Big news. Goldco is celebrating America's 250th anniversary with a limited time bonus. Get up to 10% free gold or silver, plus free storage and a free home safe with a qualifying cash purchase. This offer won't last, so act now. Are we seeing the early signs of another 2008 style crisis? Don't wait for the next shoe to drop. Protect your wealth with precious metals, because in uncertain times, gold and silver shine brightest. Visit badlandsgold.com today for your free 2026 gold and silver kit and your bonus buy. Again, visit badlandsgold.com. All right. And man, let's see. I don't even know where to begin with this. You know what? Let's go ahead and jump out. First and foremost, if you have not done so yet, please smash that thumbs up. If you're new to the show, check out the chat, drop in, say hello, helps us out with the algorithm and all that good stuff. But so this whole thing kind of kicked off with this address from President Trump on Saturday early morning, 2:30 in the morning. I did not stay up for the address. I just saw tweets and stuff coming out.
I definitely saw it a couple of minutes after it was posted.
Oh wow, you're a night owl too, huh?
I am a night owl. I'm usually up until about 4 a.m. Yeah.
Holy cow! What time do you sleep until?
Till 8 on Mondays, 9 the other days of the week.
Wow, man, I'd have to have many naps throughout the day if I did that. But anyways, so this is we're not going to play this whole thing. It's been played on numerous shows. I played it on Saturday. I know they played it on. I think they played it on DPH on Saturday night as well. But there were a couple really interesting takeaways that I had from this. And, President Trump kind of plays both sides in this speech. He brings up all the Fox News normie, neocon establishment talking points. Iran is a threat to everybody. And, it's been bombing us for years and all this other stuff. And I mean, I don't know how much of that is actually true. He brings up some other points, going back and saying that this regime for 47 years has, been instilling terrorism and across the globe. I thought that was really interesting, going back 47 years to 1979 and the overthrow of Pahlavi, the Shah, and putting the Ayatollah in place. A lot of that, me and Ghost has done a great job on unpacking all this, but we've talked on Daily quite a bit about the 1979 era of the CIA and the kind of soft coup that they performed over there, the madrasas that they propped up.
Yep.
This is a big new Brzezinski. I think Kissinger was involved in that as well. So I thought that was really interesting. If this is it's obviously going to end up in a regime change now, but obviously we're not huge fans of regime change. Like President Trump in his Riyadh speech was talking about sovereignty of other nations and how we may not agree with them politically and we may not agree with them culturally, but we can still do business with them, right? Two separate entities. And, when he talks about regime change in this regard, it's like, well, that's kind of counterintuitive to what you said in the Riyadh speech. But he also talked in the Riyadh speech about the intelligence squeeze that we had on a lot of these countries. And, he alludes to Iran specifically in that speech. And if you are going to do a regime change, are you going in there and overthrowing the regime that was put up by our own intelligence here? And so I'll land that there for a minute and let you jump in.
Well, I mean, that's exactly how I look at it. I mean, you have to interpret this action through the lens of how it all began. And it was the CIA who installed the Shah, overthrowing Mohammad Mossadegh. I have always seen the mullahs as another CIA-backed force, as a destabilization effort within the Middle East. So, that happened, and then it wasn't all that long after that the Berlin Wall fell, communism was over, and much like Al-Qaeda was throughout the early 2000s, Iran was during the early portion, the latter portion of the 20th century. And they remain so up until very recently. So I truly see this as a takedown of that CIA-backed effort within the Middle East to pretty much ensure that there would always be a foil on the global stage. At the end of the day, we're not in Iran. We don't know exactly what's going on. There is a lot of video coming out supporting this from the people of Iran. You've got obviously a lot of Iranian dissidents and refugees that are here in the United States that all seem to be in favor of it. The other aspect of this is that in terms of a regime change, I think that a lot of people are seeing it through the lens of how these things have gone down in the past. It pretty much in terms of in terms of the effectiveness of the opening salvo of whatever happened in Iran. It was a fairly effective and quick decapitation strike. Pardon me, I'm a little tired still, but and so that goes to show you that in terms of any other war that we've ever fought, I think that there was a reason that they lasted 5, 10, 15, 20 years, because that was that was an effect of the military industrial complex, right? I mean, it was the influence of the CIA and the corporations that were profiting off of it. So President Trump goes in within a couple of minutes, boom, really take away the leadership, the brain trust of Iran, which makes it much more likely that a government run and built by the people might be able to come in and actually take over. We're also not seeing troops on the ground. We don't have like a ground forces that are rolling in. That's also very different from anything that we've seen in the past. And of course, all of those things that President Trump said, that's what we would need to say if you're going to make a case for going in and doing something like this. Doesn't mean that that's the only reason. Certainly, in the same way that we're not in Iran watching this stuff go down, I'm also not in the room in terms of intelligence and hearing what else may be taking place. It's also not something that you see any of the regional players having a problem with. In fact, they're playing like a direct role in everything that's going on there. Rather than us walking into Iranian soil, you've got a number of other neighbors that are actually taking care of that stuff. So it's very different from virtually every perspective that I can think of when you take a look at any of the other modern conflicts. And, I am generally anti-war. I'm anti-interventionist, but I am practical in terms of realizing what effects our own intelligence community and others throughout the world have put into play, which may have led us to the point that we are today. And if we are truly going to usher in a golden age where every nation can have this economic intercooperation and people can exist in peace, then it would be necessary to ensure that this new global order, rather than the new world order, would be successful and people would be able to live the life that we're kind of talking about bringing to the rest of the world. Not in terms of like an exporting of democracy and pushing our culture on everybody else, but the exportation of the ideas of economics and trade and balance of power. We can all live and work together for our own goals, ensuring that our own individual sovereignty is of paramount importance, but not forcing anybody to be like us, just ensuring that we're not going to be out there trying to kill each other.
Yeah, that's one of the points that President Trump addresses in the initial speech, because we got a second one, and this one we will play because I think this one's predates any of the shows where the old one was the center focus. But to the first speech that he gave on this, at 2:30 in the morning, one of the things that he says is, I'm giving this power to you, the Iranian people, right? We're gonna obliterate this regime. And then from there, it's up to you. And this is a generational opportunity. This is a once in a lifetime opportunity. No president before me has done this, and no president after me will do this again. And to me, that was his signal that, hey, I am the president that will buck against the intelligence overthrow, right. the intelligence control that the United States has on these particular areas. You look at what he was able to do in Venezuela. Now, again, I think we all believe that, Maduro is at the very least cooperating in some form or fashion with, what took place down there. But it also thwarted Machado from taking over. And she was the CIA pick for Venezuela. And now you have Delcy Rodriguez, who seems to be, I think Trump called her the other day a great ally, in Venezuela. And so, that's the opportunity that's going to be presented in Iran. Now, what I would like to see at some point is kind of, going back to the Donroe Doctrine, right? And the sovereign alliance is kind of hand off and get some involvement with Russia and China. They've, China has come out and condemned the attacks so far, and we'll get into all this stuff. But yeah, I think that was a really key point of the speech right there. And that was more in line with the Riyadh, whereas the beginning, well, we're doing this because of IEDs and roadside bombs. And it's like, really? Like,
well, he can't come out, Brian, and say we're doing this because the CIA effed us, 47 years ago. I mean, it's not appropriate. I mean, I think a lot of people are totally aware of this history, but I mean, there's only so much that they can publicly admit. And here's another important thing. If this was any other government that was, doing a traditional regime change in Iran, they would have the president would have immediately recognized the son of the Shah who lives here in the United States and who is ready at any moment. Like, the guy is producing, videos and speeches, to the Iranian people, I am the rightful ruler of Iran. And we haven't done that, I mean, it's just like they didn't recognize Karina Machado, I mean, I think that, they are both the sort of favorite picks of the CIA to just come in and pick up the pieces. And this, the idea that President Trump is speaking directly to the Iranian people and saying, hey, this is it. You guys can go ahead and do this. And he says it might be the only chance in a generation if somebody doesn't step up, if collectively they don't step up. I mean, it's because there's going to be a power vacuum. Somebody will step up. And I pray that this is being done in such a way that we're not going to have a new destabilizing force come in and just put in something more radical than what was there before. I can't believe that that's going to happen, but it's always a sort of realistic possibility in the background, just based upon the history of these sorts of things.
Yeah. And, to tack on to that, one of the things that he says at the end of that speech is, for the IRGC and everybody else, lay down your weapons and I will give you complete immunity.
That's huge.
And yeah, that is very big. That is saying, hey, I don't want to kill all of you guys. We are there for a very specific purpose. And here's your opportunity. Like, you're facing certain death. Like, nobody wants to, like, when I was in the Marine Corps, if you told me we were going to Iran and putting boots on the ground in Iran, I'd be like, oh shit, bend over and kiss my ass goodbye.
Yeah.
It's going to be way worse than anything we experienced in Iraq and Afghanistan, like not even close, orders of magnitude worse. And so you hear these people and you see, the first few attacks, the salvos that came in the beginning, and you're putting a lot of hesitancy in these. You're planting that thought in their mind, like, hey, I have an out with this. I have an out to get out of this and institute that regime change. And President Trump, I don't know if you saw this, but they actually, like, I don't know how they did this, but this was on Iranian television where they got through and were able to play his speech calling for them to put down their arms for immunity.
Yeah. Another really important aspect of this, and I brought it up in our private chat, but I mean, it's been recognized for quite some time that the Iranian military and government was just riddled with Mossad agents. And, I mean, of course, Iran as a continuing destabilizing force is good for the motivations of the Greater Israel Project, right? I mean, as long as you've got a nation whose sole wish and directive is to wipe you out and kill everyone that's part of your nation, that means that you're always going to have that tit for tat going back and forth. There's the danger. Okay, we have to protect ourselves. We have to kill everybody. And if you can remove that as a piece from the chessboard, and just create a stable democratic nation in a region that for many years has been anything but, you take away that threat. And through these decapitation strikes, who knows, maybe there was a bunch of Mossad agents that got killed that were acting in bad faith within the Iranian government, ensuring that they were doing things to continue to keep that the fight going.
Let's go ahead and jump into President Trump's second speech. And I said we're going to play this whole one. I do have it at 1 1/4 speed, but it's about 6 minutes long.
Over the past 36 hours, the United States and its partners have launched Operation Epic Fury, one of the largest, most complex, most overwhelming military offensives the world has ever seen. Nobody's seen anything like it. We have hit hundreds of targets in Iran, including Revolutionary Guard facilities, Iranian air defense systems. Just now it was announced that we knocked out 9 ships plus their naval building, all in a matter of literally minutes. Iran's formerly supreme leader, Ayatollah Khamenei, is dead. This wretched and vile man had the blood of hundreds and even thousands of Americans on his hands and was responsible for the slaughter of countless thousands of innocent people all across many countries. Last night, all over Iran, the voices of the Iranian people could be heard cheering and celebrating in the streets when his death was announced. The entire military command is gone as well, and many of them want to surrender into saving their lives. They want immunity. They're calling by the thousands. Combat operations continue at this time in full force, and they will continue until all of our objectives are achieved. We have very strong objectives. They could have done something 2 weeks ago, but they just couldn't get there. Earlier today, CENTCOM shared the news that 3 U.S. military service members have been killed in action. As one nation, we grieve for the true American patriots who have made the ultimate sacrifice for our nation, even as we continue the righteous mission for which they gave their lives. We pray for the full recovery of the wounded and send our immense love and eternal gratitude to the families of the fallen. And sadly, there will likely be more. Before it ends, that's the way it is. Likely be more, but we'll do everything possible where that won't be the case. But America will avenge their deaths and deliver the most punishing blow to the terrorists who have waged war against basically civilization. They have waged war against civilization itself. Our resolve, and likewise that of Israel, has never been stronger. America is now, again, the richest, most powerful nation in the world by far. But the only reason we enjoy the quality of life that we do and the freedom and security is we have done things that others are unable to do. But it's because of warriors who are willing to lay down their lives to do battle with our enemies. And they do battle better than anybody. An Iranian regime armed with long-range missiles and nuclear weapons would be a dire threat to every American. We cannot allow a nation that raises terrorist armies to possess such weapons, would allow them to extort the world to their evil will. Not going to let it happen. We're not happening to us, and we're not going to let it happen to others. The United States has the strongest military the world has ever seen. I rebuilt our military in my first term. There's never been a military like we possess. And frankly, there's nobody even close, but we are now using that military for good. We want to have it for good purpose. We're undertaking this massive operation not merely to ensure security for our own time and place, but for our children and their children, just as our ancestors have done for us many, many years ago. This is the duty and the burden of a free people. These actions are right, and they are necessary to ensure that Americans will never have to face a radical, bloodthirsty terrorist regime armed with nuclear weapons and lots of threats. For almost 50 years, these wicked extremists have been attacking the United States while chanting the slogan, "Death to America," or "Death to Israel," or both. They are the world's #1 state sponsor of terror. We are the world's greatest and most powerful nation, so we can do something about what they do. These intolerable threats will not continue any longer. I once again urge the Revolutionary Guard, the Iranian military, police, to lay down your arms and receive full immunity or face certain death. It will be certain death. Won't be pretty. I call upon all Iranian patriots who yearn for freedom to seize this moment, to be brave, be bold, be heroic, and take back your country. America is with you. I made a promise to you, and I fulfilled that promise. The rest will be up to you, but we'll be there to help. Thank you. God bless you to our incredible warriors, and God bless the United States of America. Thank you.
All right. So unfortunately, the 3 service members that he mentioned there has now gone up to 4. CENTCOM putting this out this morning. As of 7:30 a.m., the 4 U.S. service members have been killed. The 4th service member, who was seriously wounded during Iran's initial attack, eventually succumbed to their injury. Major combat operations continue, and our response effort is ongoing. The identities of the fallen are being withheld until 24 hours after next of kin notification. So that number is now 4, unfortunately.
Do we know exactly how that happened? Was that like Iranian missiles hitting a U.S. base in like a partner country or something like that?
I would assume. So there is reports, and we'll get into this a little bit later, but there's reports that 3 of our F-15s have been shot down by Kuwaiti friendly fire.
Ooh,
yeah, that's a big deal.
oh man,
yeah, that's not bueno. That's no bueno.
No, that's real bad.
But yeah, there's really no other information that I've been able to find about how they were attacked. I mean, obviously they attacked numerous bases. It's really kind of interesting. Like Iran, I mean, I understand the Shia versus Sunni, kind of spat that's been ongoing for forever. But Iran in retaliation, I mean, they attacked the Saudis, they just went full bore on the Middle East.
I think it was like 14 countries or something.
Yeah.
Like that.
Like, what in the hell are you thinking? Is this like the Hannibal Directive equivalent in Iran? Like,
I think so. Yeah.
That was insane to me. I wake up Saturday morning and I'm reading about the Saudis, the Qataris, the UAE, like all these places that are like, hey, we condemn these attacks. We've been attacked. We're thwarting it. We're shooting down their missiles and everything. But yeah, kind of interesting there. President Trump did put out a Truth Social post here. Khamenei, one of the most evil people in history, is dead. This is not only justice for the people of Iran, but for all great Americans and those people from many countries throughout the world that have been killed or mutilated by Khamenei and his gang of bloodthirsty thugs. He was unable to avoid our intelligence and highly sophisticated tracking system. And working closely with Israel, there was not a thing he or the other leaders that have been killed along with him could do. This is the single greatest chance for the Iranian people to take back their country. We are hearing that many of the IRGC military and other security and police forces are no longer want to fight and are looking for immunity from us. As I said last night, now they can have immunity. Later, they only get death. Hopefully, the IRGC and police will peacefully merge with the Iranian patriots and work together as a unit to bring back the country to the greatness it deserves. That process should soon be starting in that not only the death of Khamenei, but the country has been in only one day very much destroyed and even obliterated. The heavy and pinpoint bombing, however, will continue uninterrupted throughout the week or as long as necessary to achieve our objective of peace throughout the Middle East and indeed the world. I'm going to say something that's going to piss a lot of people off.
Go ahead.
But that 5-minute, 6-minute speech that we just listened to, the only thing I could see while I was watching that was Donald Trump's face shifting to George Bush.
Oh, man. See, I don't think that at all. I just and the proof is going to be in the pudding, Brian.
I agree with that.
I just everything that President Trump has shown us up until this point tells me that he is a president and a leader unlike any other. And from everything that I've seen, the United States with this administration, they have attempted to bring Iran into this new global system that President Trump is trying to implement. And he has said it time and time again. We're trying to make a deal. We are, doing everything we can to avoid anything else. And it just seemed like, for whatever reason, either the influence of bad actors within Iran, people giving bad advice, years of sort of, I guess, I don't know, maybe the ingrained idea that there's no way that the United States could change. It just came to this point. And I don't think that President Trump would take something like this lightly. And I don't think that he would want to get us involved in something that would be akin to any of the other wars that we've seen in the past. So War Powers Resolution Act, I mean, he has been, he's followed that. He notified the Gang of Eight prior to the actual strikes taking place. You've got 60 to 90 days that are sort of that grace period before Congress would legally have to declare that we were in a war, that we were going to stay in a war. And I think that the goal is to do this as quickly as possible, get out, and then whoever it is that is now going to lead Iran after that, they'll be part of the same system that President Trump has been able to work out with all of these other countries. I mean, I don't think that he wants war. I mean, He's the only president that I've ever seen in modern history to reduce the budget of the Pentagon, set a recurring reduction of the Pentagon, go head to head with the military contractors, go head to head with the CIA, go head to head with the NGO industrial complex, go head to head with the State Department. I mean, every single move that we've made up until this point shows that we're moving as far away from that old paradigm as we possibly can. And I just don't see President Trump being comparable to George W. Bush in any respect.
I'm just saying that speech. I'm not saying,
Yeah.
I'm not saying it, that speech was not, I mean, we have not been attacked by Iran. Iran did not, there's been no aggression of Iran towards the United States. The 12-day war that they fought previously, both Netanyahu and Trump came out and said that they're now decades, or well, wasn't decades. I don't remember the exact verbiage that he used, but they're years away. We've obliterated their nuclear capabilities. And now the nuclear capability talk re-enters, the mainstream. Again, the first speech he gave, I thought was brilliant. It hit on both points. It crushed on both points. You bring in the neocons and the establishment warmongers and warhawks, and then at the same time, you allude to the intelligence control over that particular region for the last, almost 50 years. The second one that, he talks about there, you're bringing in now 4 dead service members. We don't even have boots on the ground, and we've got 4 service members that are killed. Again, I firmly believe, President Trump was ahead of the Iraq war before anybody else.
Mm-hmm.
He was one of the few people that was way ahead of the Iraq war. One of the few. There were others, of course. I was full blown in the Bush camp on that. I was full blown. We got to go over there and stop this and everything else. But it's the same thing here. Iraq has WMDs. They're going to use these. Well, now it's not even they have them. They could potentially have them in Iran. And again, I give him the benefit of the doubt because his track record on all of this is impeccable.
Right.
His track record is impeccable. And so he's earned the consideration here. And it's the first 48 hours.
Right.
It's the first 48 hours. So, but coming out and the way that he's, talking about this, like Iran is, some major threat. I just don't see it. Okay. If Iran's building, even if Iran did build a nuclear weapon, it's not like something that you just have an assembly line where you're popping out, hundreds of nuclear weapons, right? So they get 1, 2, 10 nuclear weapons. All right. We have over 2,000. It'd be absurd. It's no different than us having nuclear weapons and Iran saying we can't allow America to have nuclear weapons. Well, what are we going to do with them?
Well, I think it is a little different because our stated goal for having nuclear weapons would be the protection and security of the United States and our partner nations. The stated goal for Iran to have nuclear weapons would be to dominate the region and destroy their enemies. I think that terrorism does count, Brian. In terms of attacks and support for, say, the Houthis or the Muslim Brotherhood. I feel like the case has been made pretty strongly for the Iranian regime having supported those things. And we also know that the Obama administration gave, $12 billion to Iran. We sent over pallets of cash. I doubt that money just got set up in a money market account so that it could start pulling interest, So, and like I said at the beginning of the show, I'm not read in on the intelligence.
Neither am I.
All I can do is hear what President Trump is saying and then also look at the historical context. And I see Iran as like the last stronghold of that old order holding on for power. And if we can remove that, Iran and North Korea were allegedly CIA basically proxies. Okay. To keep people on their toes. And if that ends, then we've only got one thing left. I guess maybe 2 things. I was disgusted seeing Lindsey Graham over the weekend, like, Cuba's next. We're going to invade Cuba. Like, okay, put your dick back in your pants, Lindsey. Calm down here. But if we're going to bring lasting peace to the world, then it may require using that strength to ensure the peace prevails. And I don't think President Trump would lie to us about this. I don't think that he would take a decision like this lightly either.
I agree with that 1000%.
Yeah.
And that's why, so the perception, you know, again, most people don't look into kind of the macro picture that's going on here. And, you know, so when I say that, you chimed in on Lindsey Graham, you know, he's case in point, the warmonger going full retard on these actions right here. And again, the speeches that are coming out are placating to that demographic, are placating to those people right there. It's just, I mean, to me, I don't like it. And that's fine. I see I really pissed off the chat. I had somebody tell me I have low estrogen. Bitch, please do some of the things that I've done in my life. And
yeah, Brian's been to war, guys. So I mean, like he's got his, you know, I mean, he's got a perspective on this.
I do have a perspective. I'm staunchly anti-war, and that's not been a secret forever. And that includes, you know, anything shy of on our own borders. I'm staunchly anti-war.
And I'm anti-war too. Okay, I've had plenty of friends who have had to go through this. I've seen lives destroyed. I've seen people become fractured as a result. But like I said earlier, I mean, I'm also very pragmatic about it. I understand that war as a tool, force as a tool, becomes necessary at certain points, and I have to believe that President Trump used this as a means of last result. I mean. And again, the proof will be in the pudding, but I don't think that this is going to turn into the next 20-year
no, I don't.
Battle in the Middle East. It just doesn't feel like that at all.
Oh, I agree. And like I said, those were the talking points. That's it. And one thing we've learned from President Trump is the talking points will vary significantly at times from the actions. And I do believe the actions are going to be swift. I don't think this is going to be a prolonged thing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and again, going back to the point I made on the first speech, if you're if you're instituting regime change or creating the opportunity for regime change,
Mm-hmm.
but the regime that you're changing from is the regime that we put in there, the United States ultimately put in there, is that really regime change, or is it a return to normalcy? And I'm okay with that. And can President Trump come out and explicitly say that? No. In his first speech, he alluded to that in a way that sent signal for everybody that has been paying attention.
Right.
You know, and going in, but that second one didn't. That's the thing. But anyways, we got some more stuff to get to, of course. Jonathan Karl apparently has had a phone conversation with President Trump, and here's his breakdown of that.
I just spoke to President Trump for several minutes about Iran. I asked him about who is going to take over now that the Ayatollah, the supreme leader, is gone. And his answer was interesting. He said the attack was so successful, it knocked out most of the candidates. He told me it's not going to be anybody that we were thinking of because they are all dead.
So I like that right there. It's not going to be anybody we're thinking of because it's all dead. And, you know, you kind of look back at Venezuela, and everybody was clamoring for Hakuna Matata to be put in instead of, well, you know, Rodriguez wasn't really on their mind. And then they came out and they're like, Rodriguez is the CIA's pick. And it's like, what? Over Machado? Are you not paying attention? And so I thought that was kind of interesting that, you know, Trump tells Karl it's not going to be anybody you guys think of. So, and I'm sure they're talking about Pahlavi, right? They got to be.
I talked to him about the fact that the Iranians had tried to kill him. There was a plot in 2024, an Iranian plot to try to kill Trump. And he said of the Ayatollah, I got him before he got me. They tried twice. Well, I got him first. As for how long the war will go on, the president told me he always thought it was going to be a 4 or 5 week deal. That's what he told me, a 4 or 5 week operation. He said it could be shorter, and he was prepared to go longer. And about the 3 Americans who were killed, the president said it's war and you have casualties in war. He marveled at the fact that with all the operations he has conducted as president in Venezuela, the one last summer in Iran, and this one, that the total casualty count, American casualties, is 3. That's a quick summary of a rather lengthy.
All right. So again, that's an incredible number. Regardless, 3 in 6 years, 5 years as president. That's an incredible number. I mean, there's been accidents and things like that have occurred, but let's see, there was something else that he said there that was very interesting. Oh, the 4 to 5 weeks. I'm hoping it's shorter, because it's only going to escalate. It's only going to get more intense as that time goes on. Now, the other thing that was really interesting is bringing up the Iranian plots to kill him, because we've seen that reported over the years.
I mean, I think a guy is actually on trial for that right now. Yeah.
And so again, this plays into what you said earlier, that we don't have all the intelligence that President Trump is using to make these decisions and assessments. And that's something you should always consider. Again, staunchly anti-war, so it's not going to sway my opinion too much one way or the other. But a precision strike to take out the regime, which he's accomplished, I'm all for it. I don't know what like, how does this look moving on from here, right? If he just came out and said we killed Khamenei, we killed the next 40 some odd people that would allegedly be in the line of succession, where do we go from here? Who's going to be the one on the ground kind of directing this and ensuring that there is some sort of a smooth transition, or is it just going to turn into a civil war between the Shah's fans? I don't know what you would call them. Their posse versus the IRGC and the Ayatollah's loyalists.
Well, from what I understand, the Muslim Council, or whatever they call it in Iran, has chosen a new interim Ayatollah, Ayatollah Arafi or something. Arafi. Yeah. So, but I mean, now the question becomes, how much power does that new old government have in light of everything that's been going on? We'll just have to wait and see how this all pans out. But I mean, you take a look at the Iranian operation before, and it's just very obvious to me that President Trump doesn't just want to kill everybody. Every other conflict that we've ever had, indiscriminate death and mayhem, right? I mean, you just got bombs raining down. Obviously, there are military installations that are built in civilian areas to increase casualties. So then it looks worse for the United States. The same thing is true here, but it was so precise. They were taking out a complex, and the complex had all kinds of living space and dwellings and other buildings around it, and all of that was essentially left untouched. That's just it. I'm sorry. And going back to that original strike, there was a conversation with Iran. They said, hey, you better get your people out of there. Otherwise, when we drop our bunker busters, everybody's going to die. And that was something that we didn't have to do. And it's certainly something that we wouldn't have done in years past under previous administrations. So, this way, getting rid of whatever that hardline government is, perhaps the Islamic adherents, the Mossad infiltrators, CIA proxies, whoever it is that would keep a government like what we've seen going, they're going to be taken out, and it will provide the opportunity for the people to come forward. I've seen numbers that say 80% of the people of Iran roughly they want like a secular, democratic, Western-backed, Western-style government. They don't want to live under the circumstances and conditions that they have been living under. Because we don't have sort of the eyes on the ground to really be inside those circles, we don't know who they are. Maybe there are conversations going on in the background. President Trump has obviously said, we support you, the people of Iran, but that's kind of nebulous, right? It's not like pointing to anyone directly. And as we know, creating a successful government, based upon, our republic or any other sort of democratic process is not that easy. It's definitely going to be messy, and hopefully it's not as messy as we've seen in conflicts past.
Yep. In the chat, Gizmo's mom says Trump has a plan, I'm sure, and it will be good. Pray for God's wisdom for Trump. Always.
Yes.
First thing I did. That was the very first thing I did, is I prayed for him specifically, for our own troops, and of course anybody, civilians in Iran as well, civilians that are going to be caught in the crossfire of this. But yeah, it's all we can do is pray for the wisdom, because we're never going to be privy to the information that he has. So let's go ahead real quick and hit a sponsor before we move on to the next segment. I got a lot more stuff, so let me go ahead and get this pulled up here, and got to make sure. There we go. And there we go, guys. They can freeze your accounts. They can shut off your cards. They can lock you out of your own money overnight. Banks don't protect you. They control you. And that's why real financial freedom starts with ownership. Introducing Rumble Wallet, a non-custodial wallet built for people who refuse to give up control. With Rumble Wallet, you don't just buy digital currency like Bitcoin and Tether. You can own Tether Gold, real gold, on the blockchain. Through Tether Gold, you get direct ownership of physical gold bars, each one fully allocated, verifiable by serial number, purity, and weight. This isn't paper gold. This isn't an IOU. This is real gold, without bank vaults, storage fees, or gatekeepers. You can buy, sell, or move it 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, even when traditional gold markets are closed. And if you want, Tether Gold can be redeemed for physical gold. Now that's power. And when you support creators on Rumble, you can tip them directly using Rumble Wallet. Peer-to-peer and outside the banking system, no permissions, no middlemen, no cancel button. This wallet is yours forever. All right. And then let's hear from our newest ad from Soft Disclosure.
Legend says, on St. Patrick's Day, a beard without oil is just a chin with ambition. But a beard with Soft Disclosure beard oil, that's true treasure. Spiced vanilla, naked, smooth as a leprechaun's getaway plan. Soft enough to impress your barber, bold enough to confuse a baby goat. And this boar bristle brush tames your beard like it holds the crown coin. Every bottle is American made, which means when you buy Soft Disclosure, you're supporting 6 American small businesses. That's not luck. That's capitalism with cheekbones. And while you're at it, try our mint green deodorant, because even legends need fresh pits. Soft Disclosure. Go for gold. Visit softdisclosure.com and use promo code TINYBRIGHT for 15% off.
These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. Promo code does not apply to bundle discounts.
we have the best ad team in the world, mainly Green Star.
Green Star, me boy.
That was absolutely epic. All right, guys. President Trump on Truth Social just been informed that we have destroyed and sunk 9 Iranian naval ships, some of them relatively large and important. We are going after the rest. They will soon be floating at the bottom of the sea. Also, in a different attack, we largely destroyed their naval headquarters. Other than that, their navy is doing very well.
Always trolling. Always trolling.
All right, so let's just go real quick. We're going to kind of start at the beginning with this now, because we kind of addressed, what Trump said. I pissed off everybody because they don't understand what I'm trying to say here, but that's okay. That's okay. I'll let that slide. But let's go ahead and start back at the beginning here. So this here, Iran says it's ready to go to a long war. U.S. conflict will not be endless. Basically, they're saying Iranian state media says that Khamenei has died. U.S. Secretary of Defense Hegseth said the U.S. campaign against Iran is limited and decisive, not an endless war, and aimed at destroying missile and nuclear threats. Again, I'm all on board with that. U.S. Central Command said on Monday that 4 U.S. service members have been killed. The IAEA, International Atomic Energy Administration, or I think that's what it is, on Monday said it had no indication Iran's nuclear facilities were damaged, while Tehran's envoy said that the Natanz enrichment site was struck. Drone strikes and regional attacks forced shutdowns at major Saudi refinery. That's going to have big impact on oil prices here. I think they're up about 10% this morning. And key Israeli and Iraqi Kurdish oil and gas fields on Monday, they're pushing oil prices sharply higher. President Donald Trump said on Sunday, the U.S. military operations in Iran will continue for up to 5 weeks and will not stop until Washington's objectives are achieved. Now, at 5 weeks, the War Powers Resolution gives him, 30 days?
60 to 90 days.
60 to 90 days. Okay.
Yeah.
So he's still going to be within that. I mean, he does have to issue the report to Congress. I think it's within 48 hours. Perhaps that's what these addresses are. I'm not entirely sure on that, but let's go ahead. I want to read two articles here. One is from the AP and the other's from RT. So we're kind of getting both kind of sides of the perspective here of the establishment media from both perspectives. U.S. intel did not suggest a preemptive strike from Iran before U.S.-Israeli attacks, according to AP sources. Now, that's going to play into the next article that I read, the RT one here. The Trump administration official told congressional staff in a private briefing Sunday that U.S. intelligence did not suggest Iran was preparing to launch a preemptive strike against the U.S. The administration officials instead acknowledged there was more a general threat in that region from Iran's missiles and proxy forces. Now, we did see Netanyahu almost immediately following the 12-day war, like within a month, he had pivoted from Iran's nuclear capability to Iran's ballistic missile capability, right?
Mm-hmm.
It went from they're going to get nukes to now they're going to get missiles that could, reach Israel as well as, I think they went as far as saying the United States continental land. But of course, Iran says no, that's not the case. Yeah. The military operation came after authorities from Israel and the U.S. spent weeks tracking the movement of senior Iranian leaders, including Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, and shared information that allowed the strikes to be carried out in a surprise daylight attack, according to an Israeli military official. The eventual barrage of U.S.-Israeli attacks on Iran came so quickly that they were nearly simultaneous, with 3 strikes in 3 locations hitting within a single minute, killing Khamenei and some 40 senior figures, including the head of the paramilitary Revolutionary Guard and the country's defense minister, the Israeli military official said. Striking by day also gave an additional element of surprise, said the official, who said so many major rapid-fire strikes were critical to keep key officials from fleeing after the first strike. Before the attacks, the CIA had for months tracked the movement of the senior Iranian leaders, including Khamenei. The intelligence was shared with Israeli officials, and the timing of the strikes was adjusted in part because of that information about the leader's location, according to the person familiar with the planning. The intelligence sharing between U.S. and Israeli reflects the preparation that went into the strikes, which threw the future of the Islamic Republic into uncertainty and raised the risk of escalating regional conflict. Again, as we kind of talked about there, this is now regional conflict. It's not just the U.S., Israel, and Iran. There's others that are getting involved in it. The E3 has said that they'll get involved. That's France, Germany, and London, or England. We'll get into that stuff there in a second. But do you want to comment on anything that I just covered there?
No, I'd like to see the RT coverage to compare and contrast and then comment.
Okay, so I actually have 2 things I want to bring up. And the first one is before the strikes. And I talked about this on my show. And again, I was a little bit critical of what went on here. And I don't know, my initial gut reaction, and it's probably wrong, could be wrong, was that this was kind of pushed way harder by the IDF and Netanyahu than it was by President Trump.
Sure.
And the AP, they're saying that intelligence said, hey, there's not a preemptive strike coming from Iran, backs that up. But U.S. and Iran wrap up the most serious nuclear talks in Geneva. Now, this is from RT, which is, kind of more the Russian, Iran, China side of the spectrum here. They concluded their 3rd round of indirect nuclear negotiations in Geneva, describing the discussions as the most intensive yet. The talks produced an agreement to continue technical level consultations in Vienna starting on Monday. That would be today. Now, I have not heard if those are canceled or not. I would imagine that they're probably not going to take place, but that would be remarkable if they still did take place, despite everything that just happened. Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi says, quote, it's one of the most serious and longest rounds of negotiation to date, noting that good progress was made. Omani Foreign Minister Badr al-Busaidi said that discussions had concluded after, quote unquote, significant progress. Now, Oman was hosting these negotiations. The U.S. delegation was led by Special Envoy Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner. Trump had given Iran roughly 10 to 15 days to reach an agreement, warning that, quote unquote, bad things would follow a diplomatic failure. Now, the one thing that's interesting from this, Zach, is that they don't specify when the 10 to 15 days started.
Right.
Now, do you recall, I think it was just before the State of the Union, wasn't it?
Well, I mean, President Trump has kind of had this ongoing series of threats that, I mean, time is running out. You need to make a deal. If you don't make a deal, then we're going to basically do it for you. So yeah, I don't remember exactly the last time he said it, but I mean, I recall him alluding to this on a number of occasions.
Yeah, well, so the 10 to 15 days it will factor into, kind of my assessment on this, but Tehran has made clear that any agreement must respect its sovereign right to enrich uranium for peaceful purposes, calling that non-negotiable and a core national strategic asset. Iran has reportedly offered significant concessions, including a temporary freeze on high-level enrichment, reducing enrichment levels from the current 60% purity down to as low as 1.5%. Now, Zach, you probably know this better than I would, but at 60%, that's still not weapons grade, right?
No, but I mean, it is weaponizable. They could still use it to, in terms of like missiles and other, dirty bombs and stuff like that. I mean, it's enough to cause some damage. But I mean, getting it from there to the level where they could use it to produce nuclear weapons, it's just a hop, skip, and a jump away. I mean, I think that it's the proximity to what they would need to get it to that makes everybody nervous. And it's not the idea of it's not like Iran can't have nuclear weapons. It's this government that's been running Iran that everybody doesn't want to have nuclear weapons, because that government has obviously continually stated over and over and over again that they want to kill the United States. They want to destroy the United States. They want to destroy all these other partners that we have in the region. And it's made everybody very nervous, and I mean, it's not just like Israel is the only country that's coming forward and saying Iran is an existential threat. Pretty sure Saudi Arabia has the exact same feelings about it. And they're obviously a lot closer than the United States is. Now, this, I think, is important because there were reports that Iran had sent missiles. I think this is back in 2020, but when they had hit like a U.S. military base there, they had believed that the missiles that were sent were not technically nuclear weapons, because there was no fission there was no fission that occurred. I mean, it wasn't like a nuclear blast, but they were weapons that were tipped with highly enriched uranium, which of course is going to create a whole host of other health problems for the troops that are there to be exposed to it. So yeah.
I mean, I think it would be highly unreasonable to say that they can't have, peaceful nuclear capability for peaceful purposes, nuclear power, nuclear power plants, that kind of thing. And getting it down, I don't know the ins and outs and details of how nuclear energy works or anything along those lines. So I won't even pretend, but I would imagine that's what Iran is alluding to during these negotiations. Perhaps. It says Iran also offered to dilute its existing stockpile of highly enriched uranium under the IAEA supervision rather than ship it abroad. Tehran insisted any agreement must include lifting economic sanctions. We talk a lot about this on Badlands Book Clubs, about how a Badlands Book Club with the Venezuela thing, how sanctions, ultimately destroyed the economy of Venezuela. And the same can be said for Iran. And going back to Trump's Riyadh speech, which was one of the best speeches in the history in my lifetime, probably the best speech in my lifetime. But saying back then that countries should have their own sovereignty, and even if we don't agree with them culturally and what they do within their own borders, we can still trade with them. And that was that's in line with saying that sanctions must be lifted just because we don't agree with the regime. Iran's ballistic missile program remains a significant sticking point. Now, here's where it ties into the AP article, Zach, and it says, U.S. intelligence assessments also appear to diverge from Trump's public statements on the urgency of the Iranian threat. According to sources familiar with intelligence reports cited by Reuters, Iran is likely years away from developing a, quote, military viable intercontinental ballistic missile, a timeline that does not support the president's claim that Tehran could soon target the U.S. mainland. And so this is before the attack that this came out. So the AP after the attack is saying, hey, the U.S. intelligence said that Iran was not a preemptive threat. Like there wasn't a preemptive attack. There was no threat from them. And before the attack, you have RT, who's on the other side of the spectrum, saying that the U.S. intelligence is saying, no, they don't have intercontinental ballistic missiles. They won't be able to reach the United States. Now, again, everything that the intelligence community says, I always take with a grain of salt.
Yeah. I mean, Iran has been 2 weeks away from a nuclear weapon for the last 40 years, right? So, yeah.
And so what I'm seeing here is, this is, President Trump knew that we were being pushed to the decision that he made over the weekend to strike them.
Mm-hmm.
And the U.S. intelligence, kind of the quote unquote deep state, as we'd call it, is doing everything they can to put out a public perception that, hey, Iran is not a threat. Yeah. And so, again, this goes back, while I said in that speech, it comes off very Bush-ite, whatever. There's also the counter here where U.S. intelligence is supporting not striking, which when has the U.S. intelligence ever been like, yeah, don't strike?
Right.
Well, when it's their regime, and the overthrow would be their regime. So I hope you guys stuck around long enough, because there's a lot of evidence that that was one of the goals there. So yeah.
Well, I mean, go back to the conflict between Iran and Israel, not that long ago. And it was only through the intervention of the United States and the destruction of that nuclear enrichment facility that led to it ending and saved, undoubtedly, thousands upon thousands of Iranian lives, because Israel was prepared to just continue bombarding the entire country with as many missiles as they possibly could. We have these statements of fact, which are coming from the government, which I think we both agree aren't necessarily true, but are necessary to make the case for why we're seeing what we're seeing. And of course, the president is not going to be able to say, the old guard of the CIA and the current Israeli government have got proxies that are stationed within the Iranian government. And, that's a good reason to go in there and make sure that all of those people are taken out so that the true Iranian people can lead their own country. They can't say that, right? I mean, he can't come out and tell people that. But again, if you know the history of this region and you also know the intricacies of why a conflict with Iran would benefit certain regional players, then I think that President Trump's tactics and the moves that we're seeing make a lot of sense. Okay. I mean, ultimately, we're going to save lives because we're not going to allow the entire region to fall into a third world war. If we just allowed other nations to do what they wanted to do, then I think that we would see mass bloodshed, destruction, and the possibility of a government by the Iranian people rising up would be significantly reduced. And that would leave the opportunity for another global player to come in and set up another proxy government along the lines of what the CIA has already done on a number of occasions. We don't want that. Ultimately, we don't want that. We truly do want the Iranian people to have a sovereign nation ruled by them. And in order to get there, I think it's necessary to go through and excise all of that rot. And then we can make a deal with that new government and bring them into President Trump's golden age.
I'm with you. Again, he absolutely gets the benefit of the doubt in all this, and everything that you just outlined there very well, could be the case. And I mean, that's what he said as much in the 8-minute speech. But again, the fact that he was out in front of the Iraq-Afghan wars by a long shot, and it took many of us, almost, I mean, it probably took me a decade. Shortly after I got back from Afghanistan, I was like starting to wake up to the idea that everything we just did over there was bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
I think the thing that really kicked it off for me was when we buried Osama bin Laden allegedly at sea. And I was like, that's the strangest shit I've ever heard. And so from there, you start going down the rabbit hole on that. And that was my, kind of coming to the light moment in all of that. Trump was way ahead of me. Yeah. And so again, he's got a better track record than I do. So I'm going to stick with him on this.
Yep.
Let's jump into this article here, because this one's a little more critical. The war they wanted, Netanyahu and Trump light the fuse in Iran. this is more kind of, I guess, a shot. It's kind of more analysis and where they think this is going to go. Israel announced it had launched a preemptive strike against Iran, framing the operation as an effort to neutralize what it described as imminent threats tied to Iran's missile and nuclear programs. Multiple major outlets have reported that the U.S. was actively participating in the strikes. We know all this already. I thought it was interesting here. It says if there's one immediate conclusion that can be drawn from the first reports and official statements, it's that diplomacy was not merely failing in the background. It was being overtaken by force at the very moment when some mediators were still describing negotiations as salvageable. And I want to go back to the what we just read about the Geneva meeting that they had with IRGC, the Omani foreign minister, and Witkoff and Kushner, and Trump saying 10 to 15 days. This is the reason that I think there was somebody that jumped the gun on this attack. And again, if that did happen, President Trump can't come out and be like, hey, Israel did this way faster than we were supposed to do it. He can't do that. It's okay. We're in with you, whatever. Kushner and Witkoff had another meeting set up for today.
Mm-hmm.
If you have these guys that are negotiating, they've been the kind of the I don't want to say hitmen because that's got a negative connotation, but they've been like the deal makers for the last year and a half throughout the beginning of this administration. They're the ones that went and negotiated with all these countries. They're doing the Ukraine, Russia. They did India, Pakistan. Like they're just kind of the globetrotters. They're just going from place to place and putting out fires. You just undercut them significantly by having these guys engaging in negotiations. Hearing from IRGC that there's progress being made in them, and then this happens. Now, like Witkoff and Kushner have lost a lot of their credibility when they go to the next negotiation. Because when they, if they have to go to another negotiation, they sit down and they're saying, all right, here's what we're going to do. And they could say, well, I mean, we're sitting here trying to do the diplomatic thing and we just got bombed or last time. Go ahead. I'll let you jump in.
Well, who's to say that hasn't created a certain advantage for the United States and Witkoff and Kushner? I mean, you now come in, return to the negotiations with people who are remaining in a government that has been severely handicapped because all of the leadership is now gone, and the impetus to make a deal and agree to concessions that the United States is demanding. I think that, it could go both ways, but either they come back to the table and they say, you guys suck. Why would you do that? Or they say, you know what? I think maybe we are now going to see it in our best interest to do what the United States is demanding based upon the makeup of this new government. And who's to say that the foreign minister isn't going to end up taking a larger role in that new government as a result of the power vacuum?
Yeah, that is a fair point. Was it were they negotiating, the deal with Khamenei, or were they negotiating who's going to be the one that they're working with after Khamenei's gone?
Right.
That absolutely crossed my mind. And if that's the case, then kudos, well played, right? But we don't know, so we got to look at things from both perspectives. And when I talked about this on Saturday, I did bring up that idea. You articulated a little more eloquently than I did, but that's absolutely fair. That's absolutely fair. It goes on to say the question has been whether the leading Western and Israeli decision makers truly sought a negotiated framework that would trade limits and inspections for sanctions relief, or whether they viewed any durable agreement with Tehran as strategically undesirable because it would stabilize Iran, normalize parts of its economy, and reduce the justification for continued pressure. Isn't that an interesting statement? Let me read that again. Whether they viewed any durable agreement with Tehran as strategically undesirable because it would stabilize Iran, normalize parts of its economy, and reduce the justification for continued pressure.
See, I think that would be the Mossad-Israeli take.
Yes.
Not necessarily the American take.
Yes.
Yeah.
Spot on. You're taking away the boogeyman. You'd be taking away the boogeyman. You would be taking away the one place that you could point to and say, those guys. That's why when Trump, at the end of the 12-day war, the first person to announce that Iran's nuclear capabilities had been obliterated was who?
President Trump.
No.
What?
Netanyahu.
Oh, did he? Oh, I guess okay.
And I think that was deliberate. I think Trump wanted him to be the first person to say that so that you take away that excuse.
Right.
And they brought the excuse right back. So, yeah, I thought that was kind of interesting. Let's see. I think this was pretty interesting. Whatever one thinks of Iran's intentions, it is notable that at least one prominent report stressed that Iran has long insisted it does not seek nuclear weapons, and that international bodies and U.S. intelligence assessments have been central to the debate over how imminent any weaponization actually is. That gap between asserted threat and contested evidence has always been the space in which preventative war arguments expand, because uncertainty becomes a tool rather than a constraint. And so that's just piggybacking off of what we just said, that Iran is the boogeyman that they want to keep a viable threat.
2 weeks. 2 weeks.
Yeah, right?
Yeah. And if they're no longer a boogeyman, then obviously it takes a lot of pressure off the region, and it removes any excuses that they might have for, continued simmering tensions.
Let's read these two kind of ideas. I know it's a little long, but I think this guy did a really good job. I think the optimistic scenario is something that we all are much, much in line with. And hopefully that's what ends up coming to fruition here. It says an optimistic scenario assumes the current U.S.-Israeli operation remains limited, lasting only a few days, and that Iran's retaliation remains calibrated, severe enough to claim deterrence, but not so extensive that it forces Washington into an expanded war plan. In this reading, back-channel diplomacy would restart quickly, perhaps through Oman or other intermediaries, and after a burst of strikes, the region would sink into a tense pause, similar in shape, if not in detail, to the lull that followed the June 2025 fighting. The argument for this scenario is straightforward. Every party has reasons to fear uncontrolled escalation, and the economic and domestic political cost of a prolonged war would be enormous for all sides, including energy shock risks and the danger of widening unrest. I mean, all it takes when you have a conflict like this, and again, we don't know what Iran's going to do, right? One bad move, and this thing could spiral out of control pretty quickly. The darker scenarios are easier to outline because they match the logic of what has already been signaled publicly. One negative pathway is deliberately comprehensive campaign against Iran, not limited to missiles, but expanding into sustained air operations, covert sabotage, and targeted raids, combined with information operations intended to fracture elite cohesion and encourage internal revolt. Some reporting on Saturday highlighted sources characterizing the intent as decapitation of the Iranian regime. Successful, by the way. And other coverage described rhetoric urging Iranians to overthrow their government. Hopefully successful, by the way. If this becomes the dominant strategy, the endpoint will not be a revised nuclear agreement, but a reordering of the Iranian state itself. The potential outcome in that case is not democracy delivered from above, but structural collapse, factionalization, and the long-term possibility of Iran entering a failed state condition with centrifugal pressure in a country that is a large, diverse, and heavily sanctioned even in peacetime. And then let's just read the kind of the between the poles that they outline here. And then we're done with this, I promise. Between these poles sits a muddled middle scenario, and in many ways it may be the most realistic. It is a scenario of partial escalation and partial restraint, in which both sides keep striking, but also keep searching for exits, alternating between punishment and signaling. That kind of conflict is unstable in its own way because it depends on the constant calibration, and calibration exactly what becomes the hardest when casualties mount, misinformation spreads, and domestic audiences demand revenge. What should be emphasized above all is that Saturday's events have lowered the threshold for disaster. The region has moved closer to the point where a single misread radar track, a single mass casualty strike, or a single attack on a critical choke point could force leaders into decisions that they did not plan to make that morning. So again, broad assessment. Go ahead. I'll give you the first one.
I think RT is pretty right on. I mean, all of that is obviously, I think, pretty much exactly what we've been reading. I mean, it can go a number of ways. It can be more or less successful depending upon, who they get rid of and what decisions are made. I think that traditionally what we've seen from the Iranian regime is strong rhetoric publicly, an attack as a retaliation for whatever they perceive as having been done to them. And then perhaps, more often than not, back channel communications, which lead to a simmering of the tensions and allow things to sort of normalize again. But there undoubtedly is going to be a sort of destabilizing effort that continues as whatever new government is going to take over is through whatever means allowed to rise up. But I think that is all dependent upon the complete removal of whatever element is controlling the IRGC. Because, I mean, as far as I can tell, there are still plenty of them that are willing to fight on behalf of the current Islamic regime. We just don't know how many of them. I mean, President Trump said that many are, they're calling. I don't know how they're calling, if they've got, like a bat phone inside government buildings that connects them directly to the White House, or maybe they're calling CENTCOM in some way. I mean, obviously there's military channels they can open up. So, yeah, I mean, it's going to be something that'll be difficult to pinpoint for some time, and I hope that it isn't going to drag on for very long.
So, all right, I just did some. Again, I'm using AI. I checked on both Perplexity and Grok to see if Witkoff and Kushner canceled their meeting in Vienna, and both said no, they have not, as of this time, canceled it, and that is fascinating.
I think that bodes well.
That bodes very well.
Yeah.
If that's the case. If that's still ongoing, that changes quite a bit. If that still happens.
They can be like, we asked for this meeting with you, just so you're aware. We thought we could work with you, so that's why you're here in Geneva and why you didn't get obliterated over the weekend.
That is absolutely fascinating if that is the case. So I'll keep my eyes on that. Again, I just did a preliminary search. I use both Perplexity and Grok because, Grok will do more of the socials, whereas Perplexity will do more of the mainstream reporting. So that could be big. That could be big. And again, after the show, maybe I'll have an update on Y-Chromes. All right. So Times of Israel, 3 U.S. fighter jets shot down, F-15s shot down by Kuwait in friendly fire incident. The crews survive. There is video of one of them being shot down.
Ouch.
Right.
How many millions of dollars is that?
He hasn't ejected yet.
No, 2 people ejected.
Oh, they already did? Okay.
Yeah. Basically, as soon as it started to fall, they ejected.
Okay.
I saw 2 parachutes.
So then we see this right here. Footage of like the Kuwaitis putting the pilot. They help him escape. I guess. I mean, Kuwait's not a hostile. I'm sure there's hostile forces in there, but
yes, 1 minute.
They load him up in the back of a van. Now, here's the thing, man. Like, I don't know if you guys know. You think it's like the movies, like you eject and you just land and then you're like, okay, I'm fine. Come get me. Man, you hit about 20 G's when you eject out of these aircraft. These guys, I mean, it literally compresses your spine, the force. All right. 20 G's is, if you're a 200-pound pilot, 20 G's means you weigh what, 8,000 pounds?
God, I don't know.
4,000 pounds?
I don't know. I know it's not comfortable.
It's insane.
Yeah.
And I mean, these pilots have some serious issues. Likely they'll never fly again. I think General Quast, when we had him on SITREP, I think we were talking about this, about ejecting. And he was telling me, I don't want to put words in his mouth, but I think he was saying something along the lines of most pilots that are involved in an ejection don't come back to flying. Like they can't physically fly anymore.
Wow.
I believe that was him. It might have been what's his name? Colonel Manis. He flew B-1Bs. Yeah, Rob. It might have been him, but here's another. So we got this footage, unclassified footage of us blowing up Iranian targets, and I'm pretty sure it's a MiG-21. And
I can't tell you.
if that's the case, like, what are we looking at? Because Iran hasn't flown MiG-21s. Like, they have the F-7, which is like a Chinese variant of the MiG-21. I mean, they're only training aircraft. So I don't know. We got this video here. It's no sound, but just, blowing up stuff, which is always kind of cool. Yeah. They got 2 of them. Here's a little hangar with all those little drones.
Oh, we actually got a couple of those drones and we cloned them, but we made them better.
There's another MiG-21 just in the middle of a farm field, just sitting.
That's like a freebie right there. Like, they're like, "Hey guys, we're not going to be using this anyways, so just go ahead and take it out."
Oh, I mean, you remember?
I'm saying I can't think about this logically. I'm just going to go with.
Oh, stop. We don't need to listen to that. You remember in when in the 2024 campaign, when Trump said, Iran called me and said, hey, we got to retaliate. We're going to bomb, after he killed Soleimani. They said, we got to retaliate. Was it Soleimani? Yeah, it was Soleimani.
Yeah. He died like a dog.
He died like a dog in the streets. But he said, we got to retaliate. Don't worry. We're not going to hit any of your bases. It's just a show of force, a deterrence. So we don't look like, cowards. And Trump's like, okay, that's fine. I get it. I understand.
Yeah.
I don't know. How much of that are we seeing right now?
I mean, I think it's probably pretty likely. Yeah.
Put a plane out in the middle of a field, some drones under a tent or under a hangar. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So just reporting on this, Iran's Revolutionary Guard tells ships passing through the Strait of Hormuz, you're not allowed. EU naval mission officials say this is a pretty big deal because, it's one of the most vital straits for oil to pass through from the Gulf producers to the rest of the world.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see what happens with that, and let's see. I think we can move on from this finally. Oh no, we do have to play this, man. Did you see this? The Dubai, what is it called? The Burj Al Arab.
Burj Khalifa.
There you go. That's what it's called. Got hit by falling debris after they shot down. And I'm glad to hear it was fallen debris, because when I first saw this, I was like, dude, why are they striking a hotel and an iconic hotel in Saudi Arabia? But what are the odds that you just happen to be filming this when all of that happens?
Well, everybody's got a phone, and people are probably a little bit on edge, knowing how close they are to the conflict. And I mean, I've come in right on the edge of something crazy happening before. I mean, if you just push a button on your phone, it automatically opens up your camera.
All right. Well, Dubai authorities confirmed that debris resulting from an aerial interception caused a fire at one of the berths of Jebel Ali port. Dubai civil defense teams responded immediately and are continuing their efforts to fully extinguish the fire. No injuries have been reported, and so it goes. All right. Now, we did have a shooting. Actually, before we get into the shooting in Texas, probably play this. The Pakistani consulate in the United States was attacked, and Benghazi style, except this time their hands weren't tied behind their backs, and they fended off the invasion, the whatever you want to call it. This one's a little graphic, so if you got a squeamish stomach, maybe turn it off for about a minute and a half. By the way, top 5 things not to do is just indiscriminately fire over your own side's heads.
Yeah.
Bonehead.
Ooh.
Yeah. Oh, it gets worse.
They broke down the fence, opened up to get inside the compound.
Yep. Oh, they cut the sound? That's weird.
That's kind of annoying anyways.
Yeah, it is. It is kind of annoying.
Oh.
They have reached the fuck around and find out phase. This is
Yeah.
not the Obama administration. You are not going to be allowed to overrun U.S. consulates. That is U.S. soil in a foreign nation.
What, 21 people dead?
I think that's what they said. Yeah.
Yeah.
20, let's see if there's an official number. It's not in that post, but that's what I had heard reported was 21 dead.
Mm-hmm.
F around, find out. Now here's so again, I'm trying to be optimistic. When you see, we got two different clips of this. This is, I never in a million years thought I would ever see Israeli flags and Iranian flags in the same celebration, not going against each other, trying to kill each other and all that.
Mm-hmm.
So if there is anything good to take out of it, let's take this out of it. Look at that, dude. Like Iranian and Palestinian flags in the same celebration. What? It happened here in America too. This was outside of Texas. Now that's Pahlavi, right?
Yes. Yep. That's him.
She is the organizer.
Thank you, Bibi! Thank you, Bibi!
You literally have Iranians saying "Thank you, Bibi."
Yeah, that's
Did hell just freeze over?
Like my brain just snapped there. I was like, "Whoa, hold on."
I mean, we did have Gretchen Whitmer thank President Trump last week at the end of the week. I don't know if you saw that.
I did see that. Yeah. That was awesome. That was awesome. That was like the State of the State address, and she's like, "You're probably gonna freak out when I say this, but thank you, President Trump. That was great."
And now we have Iranians in the street thanking Bibi Netanyahu and waving Israeli flags. Okay.
No, it's really notable to make sure that you understand that those people there thanking Bibi, those are the people who want to reinstall the Shah. All right. So, there were a lot of Iranians that came to America after the fall of the Shah that were, members of the Shah's government, sort of elite members of Iranian society that benefited the most from the CIA-backed Shah government. And so the flags that they were flying are not like the current Iranian flag, but it's the former flag of Iran before the Islamic Revolution. So, I'm not particularly surprised, but it is interesting, right, to see it. There's a common goal, right? Okay, so the people who support the Shah and the son of the Shah, they can align themselves with the interests of Israel because both of them want to see the fall of the Islamic Republic of Iran, right? And I think all too often people just Iran is the same as everything that we're seeing. It's like there's factions. Right. And just as there's factions in Israel, there's factions here in the United States. One group does not represent the interests of the whole, right? The entirety of the country. So, this is a pragmatic alliance for them to be in favor of what's happening there.
I agree with that. And again, one of the points that I always make is that, you can truly despise evil regimes, governments, et cetera, et cetera. But ultimately, when it boils down to the individual level, the population as a whole, genuinely people are good people.
Yeah.
And, this is like the videos where you go through, some Muslim nations and talk about Christianity, and they're very receptive to, Christianity. But you get to the Hezbollah and the Hamas and the Al-Qaeda and all those groups, and it's like they're the ones that get highlighted. They're the ones that get the loudest voice in the mainstream media because it continues to drum up that that war, military industrial complex narrative. Genuinely, on the individual level, I believe that people get along very well, across the spectrum.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I think that's gonna land it for the Iran talk, an hour and a half into the show. But again, it's a slow news week. We do have a couple other stories that are downright hilarious. Did you see the Jim Carrey thing? Have you tracked that at all?
I mean, I saw it being talked about. He's full of cringe, and I mean, people are acting like he's a clone or something like that. I think he's a 65-year-old man who's had too much Botox. That's what it looks like to me.
So, well, we'll save it when we get into it. I do want to talk about this story here. From New York Post, Austin bar mass shooter possibly motivated by Iran attacks. Quran found in car as FBI eyes terrorism after 2 killed. Didn't they also find a Quran in like the New Orleans bombers or driver's house? They found like an enshrined Quran. I mean, okay.
Yeah.
I guess
and he was also wearing like, what was it? What does his shirt say?
Property of Allah.
There you go. Property of Allah. Yeah. He really wants to make sure everybody's aware why he's doing this.
Yeah, it says, and there's something very interesting in this article, but it says Diagni, I think that's his name, Diagni.
Indiaga. Diagni. God, that's almost like a palindrome. Look at this.
Indiaga. 53 of Senegal. Arrived in the U.S. on March 13th of 2000 on a B-2 tourist visa during the Clinton administration, became a lawful permanent resident when he married a U.S. citizen in June of 2006. He then became a naturalized U.S. citizen in April 5th of 2013, despite having a growing rap sheet spanning New York and Texas. On Sunday, the killer had a Quran in his car and was possibly also wearing an undershirt featuring the Iranian flag or other Iranian symbols when he opened fire at Buford's backyard beer garden near the University of Texas, Austin. It says law enforcement knew him as an emotionally disturbed person in both New York and Texas. He had a string of previous arrests under his belt in the Big Apple in Texas, including a 2022 arrest for a collision with vehicle damage. It also says that he was arrested in 2001 for illegal vending. And so I'm thinking to myself, Zach, I'm like, okay, so this guy gets in a car accident. Somehow he's criminally negligent in doing so. Okay. Maybe if it was a DUI, get him out of here, but who knows? Then he's also arrested for illegal vending. I'm like, okay, you're scraping the bottom of the barrel here to try and, whatever. But then the next thing they say is interesting. His other 3 city arrests are sealed.
Ooh, that is interesting.
Yeah. So we go from like these 2 crimes that you're kind of like, not at the top of the list. Kristi Noem's not going to come out and be like, we deported this guy because he had a vehicle accident and was charged with it, right? Or he was illegally selling hot dogs on the side of the road in New York.
Yeah.
You're not going to hit him for that. But then you have 3 that are sealed, and that is very interesting.
Yeah. Who was his handler?
That's where I started going to immediately.
Mm-hmm.
Diagni's large SUV was spotted traveling around the block several times before he stopped in front of the bar and began shooting out of his front window with a pistol, hitting patrons on the front patio. He then parked his car, got out, and began shooting at people walking by on the street. Police confronted the shooter within less than a minute of the first gunshot. 2 victims and the shooter died at the scene. First responders rushed 14 other patients to nearby hospitals, 3 of whom are in critical condition. So keep our prayers out for those. I hope we don't see. I mean, I know there was a shooting in Cincinnati. I don't think it's been attributed to terrorism yet, or at all. I don't 9 shot. I don't think there's been any reported deaths or anything like that. So,
I mean, it's Cincinnati, so it might just be local.
It could just be, it still needs a lot of fixing there. All right, so this is the Jim Carrey clip, and so have you seen the claim by Alexis Stone?
No. I really did not look into this. All I saw was that he, I guess, delivered a speech in French or something like that. And then I saw people basically saying that wasn't Jim Carrey. I mean, I pretty much don't work on the weekends. Like, I try to unplug as much as I can.
Okay. So do you know who Alexis Stone is?
No, not off the top of my head.
So apparently it's like this like drag queen guy that like does a lot of like full masks and everything.
Okay.
And has punked people before at playing celebrities.
Okay.
And is claiming that was him and this was a prank.
Okay. All right.
So now that you have that in mind, listen to the speech again that's going viral. Not the speech, but the commentary that he gave, thinking this is not Jim Carrey. This is a man in a mask pretending to be Jim Carrey.
I wrote it and I researched it and I practiced it like crazy, but it's then I watched everybody like talking 1,000 miles an hour up there, receiving their awards. And I was like, I'm dead. And I made mistakes, and I was like a novice, but I felt a lot of love, and I felt a lot of appreciation that I tried, and what I said was true, and I really wanted to recognize my family. I wanted to recognize my dad. I mean, my dad was the type of person that if you met him for 5 minutes, you felt like you knew him for 50 years. You know? I can't talk about him without getting emotional. Oh, loved it. It's so beautiful. And having Michelle, you know, Camille Coton, that was also amazing. And it was just a brilliant evening, you know? Really brilliant evening. Oh my gosh. Benjamin Laverne was off the hook. I mean, I can't believe he committed to doing all that. I was really, is this about someone else? My favorite funny face is the one I'm wearing right now.
Thank you so much, Jim.
I mean, when you listen to some of the things he's saying there, like the man is dead. I rehearsed this, researched it, practiced this. Thousands of people talking a mile a minute, talking about the screenwriter saying, who is this guy? You know, the funniest face I wear is the one that I'm wearing right now.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, man.
Well, show me the clip of the guy claiming that he was actually there.
All right, so I'm doing this on the fly, but mask maker Alexis Stone did a prank social experiment, and I'll see what else I can find on this. Let me see. Well, it's confirmed it wasn't Jim Carrey, but the makeup artist and impersonator Alexis Stone. He declares that it was all a social experiment. Let me see who I can find. I was looking into this. I mean, I didn't go too crazy. I figured you would have already been on top of this.
Yeah, no, not this. Jim, I don't really care for Jim Carrey. So like anytime I see him out there, he kind of creeps me out.
So this was him doing is that Meryl Streep? What's her name?
Glenn Close, maybe?
Glenn Close. Yeah, Glenn Close. Okay. Excuse me.
The phone. It was on God knows. Oh, Anna blocking me from.
I mean, minus the frickin' voice, that would pass.
I mean, the voice sounded like Jim Carrey to me.
Oh, I don't think so at all. I don't think so at all.
I honestly can't tell you the last Jim Carrey movie I saw, or the last time that I know that I heard him speak. I mean, you know, that sounded like it to me.
Oh man.
I mean, I guess if they did it, then weird. I'm like, why?
It's just a social experiment.
Yeah.
Maybe. So the thing that's when you go back and listen to it and they say the man is dead, you know, a lot of the response to the Alex Stone or Alexis Stone claims is, well, we need proof of life of Jim Carrey now.
Okay, so that's the thing. People are saying Jim Carrey is dead, and that's why Alexis Stone had to do this.
No. But the fact that Jim Carrey has been, I think he's been MIA for quite some time. I mean, I don't follow, you know, Hollywood whatsoever, so I don't know. But I know that there was a lot of allegations that, you know, perhaps Jim Carrey did have a role over the last few years. Speaking of which, maybe he couldn't be seen at the thing because this was going on at the same time.
Around the world, despite everything you read, despite the fact that COVID drove migration to record levels all around the world. Day I left office, border crossing into the United States were lower than the day that I entered that office inherited from Trump.
What?
That's just a fact.
Uh-huh.
The day I left
What?
office, I handed Trump the strongest economy in the world. That's not hyperbole. That's a fact.
Joe Biden still has his tells, man. Anytime he says that's a fact, that's not hyperbole, that's not a joke, that's a fact. he's unquestionably, undoubtedly lying.
Yeah.
And then he had one more clip that was pretty memorable. This was all this weekend.
By the way, to see Trump give the State of Union, that's the last. Is he still talking? I don't know. But folks, it's unbelievable. The guy talks for almost 2 hours, but never mentions the anniversary of Putin invading Ukraine. Never once.
Because it's the State of the Union, and that has no bearing on us whatsoever.
Good God.
Except for the fact that he simped to them for all that time. Oh, man. All right. Well, that is going to do it for today. I know. A lot of bullshit news. The best outside of Iran, although the whatever, is Jim Carrey, and whether or not it's Alexis Stone.
I'll look into it before 5.
Yeah, do baseless conspiracies on it tonight.
Yeah,
I'm just kidding. That'd be awkward. But maybe you could do it on him doing that for other.
It would fit
actors.
Yeah,
he's done it. He's done it many times. That guy. I think he did it for Alec Baldwin. I was reading this morning how many times he's done those kinds of swaps. So. All right, guys. Thank you guys all so much for tuning in. I appreciate it, y'all being here. I'm sorry if I hurt anybody's feelings today, but I will not apologize for being staunchly anti-war ever. I will never apologize for that. And I also will pray for President Trump every day as this continues on, and pray that the right decisions are made and that the ends justify the means, I guess.
Yeah.
And I'll leave it there. Zach, any final thoughts or what you got coming up?
No, I echo much the same. I mean, I truly do trust in President Trump's judgment. And as I stated numerous times, I think that the world that we're moving into is going to be very different from what we've lived in the majority of our lives. And I think that sometimes it's difficult for people to separate what's happening now from what we've seen in the past. But I think it's truly what's happening. And I defer to President Trump's judgment ultimately at the end of the day.
I do too.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean we can't question it. Doesn't mean
no, not at all. Not at all. No.
And all that. So yeah,
healthy. It's healthy.
Absolutely. It's a necessity. It's a necessity. If you just go along to get along with everything, then you're just I don't know, a shill at that point. So
yeah,
anti-war. There we go. Anti-war. Maybe he did that on purpose. It's another one. I mean, there's been a lot of exposure of folks that are, really actually neocons and who aren't. And
sure,
anybody that listens to Trump and is like, yeah, get the terrorist. And it's like, I mean, yeah, but not in another decade-long war. All right, guys, stay tuned. You got Y-Chromes coming up at 1 p.m. Eastern time. Daily Herald as well at 1 p.m. You've also got Alphas Make Sandwiches at 3:30. Then you've got, of course, Baseless Conspiracies. You've got a whole bunch of great shows here on Badlands, and I'm sure there's going to be some other stuff as well. So stay tuned. Otherwise, I'll see you guys tomorrow morning, 10 a.m. with Ghost. It's going to be a great show with Ghost. We'll unpack all this and get his take on it. So see you guys later.
Peace.
Thank you so much for joining us, and don't forget to hit the thumbs up on this video. And a special thank you to all of our advertising partners. Please remember to shift your dollars to support those businesses that support Badlands Media.